You're listening to the Pittsburgh Podcast Network. Enjoy the show.
Total Sports Enterprises is having signings galore this fall, starting next Saturday, with the Steeler rookie signing that includes James Conner, Michael Hilton, Juju Smith-Schuster, Brian Allen, and second-year fave Sean Davis.
And YaJagoff has your chance to win 2 tickets to the September 16th rookie signing just by giving your suggestions. Starting Tuesday, watch for your chance to ask the right rookie questions, and if yours is chosen, you could win 2 VIP passes to the signing at the Mall at Robinson. Be sure to check out tseshop.com and listen to YaJagoff.
And let's start the podcast from the Pittsburgh Irish Festival.
The word Jagoff is defined as a noun, which means a stupid, irritating, or...
Here's how Pittsburghers define the word Jagoff. When someone cuts you off on a parkway. Jagoff!
Or someone scares the out of you.
Yeah, Jagoff!
Or it's a term of endearment.
How you been, Jagoff?
Everybody's Jim Crenn.
Hey, it's Bonnie Diver.
This is Kevin Wild Bill.
This is Mark Madden.
Hi, this is Rocky Blyer.
I'm Jackie Kane. And this is the YaJagoff Podcast.
This is the YaJagoff Podcast, recording at the Pittsburgh Irish Festival on Saturday, and we're ready to have a good time here. And if you're listening to the podcast, you've missed it. The YaJagoff
the Irish Festival.
Exactly.
Right.
So the YaJagoff Podcast there's 3,457,568 podcasts in the entire world, and this is the only one cool enough to have 2 things today. B, from the Pittsburgh Irish Festival, and 2, have our new co-host Rachel Rennebeck on board. Yeah.
Thanks, Hannah. What the hell? Hannah has
Rachel.
all her tracks that have screaming people.
Well, Rachel brought her brother to be the sound guy just to have all those applause tracks in the background.
No, he will not.
She's like,
He'll boo me. He is my brother.
Anyways, we are at the Pittsburgh Irish Festival, and before we get started here, we have to give a shout out to our producer, Wayne Weil, is while we're recording this, is at his father's funeral, and our hearts go out to him and prayers go out to him. And I'm sure there's a good Irish proverb that we should probably have dug up at this point. So
May the road rise to meet him.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. And that voice is Marin Patron. Marin is our hostess of the day today because she has us here. But first, let's go to Rachel. Rachel, so you've been on the podcast before.
Right.
You've given me many annoyed faces before, like at PNC Park, and when we were at Point Park University in 7-degree weather out on the street.
Yep.
So, but somehow we convinced you to be a co-host.
That's the criterion to be the co-host. You just have to show that you're irritated enough. So.
No, my mother and my kids
YaJagoff.
could have been a
That's
co-host
right.
at that point. So.
There you go.
All right. So on the YaJagoff blog this week, there were a couple of things on the blog. And as you know, Pittsburgh is trying to get Amazon.com to come here and put a headquarters. So we put the top 5 reasons, 5.5 reasons why Amazon should come to Pittsburgh. And the half a reason was self-serving. It was, say, because the YaJagoff podcast is here.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
That wasn't the half reason.
Right.
That was number one.
And we talk about a guy who got drunk and stole the wrong car. He came out of a beer place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because who does that?
Right.
Who comes out and steals? Who has the thought process that you're going to steal a car, let alone the wrong car?
Yeah, it just happened to have the keys in it. So, anyway, it was supposed to be his car, but he got caught stealing a car. So that's what was on the blog. You're listening to the podcast now. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. Leave a comment or 2, even if you think we suck, whatever it's going to be. So welcome to the podcast, Rachel. The formalities are over. Welcome to the podcast, Marin Patron.
Thank you very much.
You're like, when do I get to talk here? Tell this guy to shut up.
I need
They
some
asked
pointers.
me to host it.
It's my first podcast.
Welcome.
Wow. So let's talk about the Pittsburgh Irish Festival. How many years it's been going on? Because as a Pittsburgher, I have to tell you, I'm very embarrassed in the fact that I never even knew this thing existed.
Well, that's a shame. We're celebrating our 27th year this year.
Okay.
And I'm glad you made it to your first one, finally.
Oh.
But so it's always the weekend after Labor Day, and we're so excited to have you guys here today. It's going to be really fun.
So why is it always this time of year and not around March?
Well, because I think there's another party that happens in March downtown. Some people go to it, and we wanted to give people the opportunity to celebrate in another month.
And it's 6 months. I just thought that was Frank and I were trying to figure out a clever way to kind of introduce it, and I said, "Oh, it's 6 months in until St. Patrick's Day." And then I read your commentary.
I could say halfway to the St. Patrick's Day parade, but the St. Patrick's Day parade is really just halfway to the Pittsburgh Irish Festival.
That's right. There you go.
So I like it is to think like Rachel knows this term. She uses it all the time. Pre-gaming. Yeah. This is pre-gaming for St. Patrick's Day right now.
Or St. Patrick's Day is pre-gaming for the Irish Festival.
I like it.
I know.
Yeah,
He's not
exactly.
catching your drift. I know. I get it. Well, and we're both Irish, so I think that's an important thing. Like, isn't that why you wanted us here?
Well, I have to tell you, you don't have to be Irish to have a really great time. And I'll tell you, one of our main staff members that's been with us for 27 years is 100% Italian.
Now, there's the other half that I am, so I'm happy for that, right, Frank?
So you got me 50% Irish and Italian, and I still love it. We all love it 100% of the way.
So you fight with yourself on what to do.
I do, but I like to think of it as having gotten the best of both worlds.
That's right. I couldn't agree more.
Do you make shepherd's pie cannolis?
Sure. We do have some strange. I'll tell you, down here we have pierogies.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
We have a corned beef and cabbage egg roll. So we really like to blend. That. We really like to blend some other cultures here.
Yeah.
Now we know you have a million things to do today, and we should be letting you go. But let's just talk about how the planning goes. And this is huge. This is just...
It's not what we expected.
It is not. No, this isn't like you show up and there's a little carnival thing going on here.
Yeah, it's really big. And, I'd love to give credit to our founders, Mara and Nan Krasinski, who are actually my mother
Perfectly
and
Irish
aunt. Names. Like I said, we blend the cultures here at the Irish Festival. We have lots of cousins. And so, we start... So give me a call on Monday, and I'll be telling you all the things we're planning for next year.
Okay.
So it's a year-round process, and we really work hard to make sure we create an event that is really authentic and cultural and something that anyone in our area or anyone that's traveling in can enjoy.
So every year, expect something different. Like I noticed this year, I have gone to it in years past, like I told you when it was at the Station Square, but I understand you grew out of that, which is obviously a good problem to have.
We did, yeah.
So each year then you add something new. Is this year's wedding thing the newest part?
We have a bunch of new things this year,
okay.
But the cultural wedding display, which we're calling the Irish Hope Chest, is something new.
How clever.
And it's coincidentally happening in the same year I got married. So I don't know if it's connected or not. But people can come and learn about all of the Irish wedding traditions and things about love, like the claddering, a penny in your shoe. I do. I wear my grandmother's.
Oh, what a nice tradition.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah, I'm very happy to wear it every year.
So explain that, because I don't know that everybody even understands.
So the claddering, some people are familiar with the image, but not necessarily the meaning behind it. So it's hands around a heart with a crown on top, and it symbolizes friendship, love, and loyalty. And it's one of the traditions is that people face the heart outwards to let the world know that they're willing to accept love or that they're not in a relationship, and then you turn it the other way when you're in a serious relationship or you get married.
I love that.
Well, thanks for having us here. We have a really good show coming up today. Yeah. We have Kristen Dorschner, who's been on the podcast before, and she was actually a guest co-host, but we talked in the past about her crime reporting days and running criminals down, chasing police cars. So we're going to talk about that.
Now we're going to really ask questions.
And we have some of the musicians here. We have the Screaming Orphans are going to be on the podcast, and as we go through each of our guests, you're going to hear, they did a little medley for us, and you'll hear the music. And Katie from Gaelic Storm is going to be here. And Katie is famous because she's now a famous Pittsburgher touring with Gaelic Storm.
She put Wexford on the map.
She did, yeah. Yeah, right after.
Shout out to Wexford.
Yeah, boom. Wexford in the house.
Hi, everyone. I'm Selena Pompiani from the Pittsburgh Penguins, and you're listening to the YaJagoff podcast on the Pittsburgh Podcast Network.
Couldn't ask for a prettier day, a better festival. I mean, we cannot believe how many miles, I feel like, of ground there is for things to do. And this time we actually have a Pittsburgh native from Wexford. We have Katie Grennan. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
So Katie's here because she loves the Irish Festival, right?
I do, yeah.
But not only that, she's actually a new band member for a pretty important Irish band.
So you became a part of Gaelic Storm just recently, like within the last few months, is that right?
Yeah, I joined the band on June 1st.
Of this year?
Of this year,
I don't think I realized it was that recent.
Yeah, it's really recent. So, yeah, I joined on June 1st. I've been a fan of the band actually for years and years and years. I first saw them when I came to this very festival back when it was at Station Square. I think probably late 90s, early turn of the of the century, I guess. But I also do Irish dancing, so I grew up dancing
Same.
for. Really? Oh
No,
my God,
I-
we have to have
no.
a stamp later.
Only when I'm drunk.
Amazing. But I grew up dancing for a school called the Burke Conroy School of Irish Dance, and we were always invited to dance with Gaelic Storm. So I was kind of like fangirling them when I was younger. And
we fangirl, so we understand.
yeah. So
you've been listening to them?
Yeah, I loved their music back when I was a kid, and so to be a part of the band is like it's kind of surreal.
Did you submit something to them? Is that how that works, or did you get like a private audition? How did that kind of pan out?
So I was actually playing at a different festival last year in Milwaukee, and I was playing with a different group called the Trinity Irish Dance Company. And we invited Gaelic Storm up to kind of do a cameo appearance because those dancers often dance with
You wanted to
Gaelic.
see them.
Yeah, well, we wanted to see them.
You were
and
stalking them, and
I basically stalked them. No, we invited them up to do a couple numbers with us, and then later in the year when they realized that they were going to be looking for a new fiddle player, I was kind of fresh in their mind from that. So that's how the whole thing. They just called me up and asked me to join, and the timing worked out really well. So
I'm sure.
no audition, thank God.
What did that phone call go like?
They just called me one random afternoon in March, and it was towards the end of a long St. Patrick's Day season. I remember thinking, I'm done with the touring. Like I've reached my threshold.
Point,
yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna stop doing this to myself. And then when Steve Twigger called me, I was just like, well, scratch that. I couldn't believe it. So yeah.
So let's go backwards a little bit here. You play the fiddle.
Yes.
And growing up playing the fiddle couldn't have been the coolest thing ever, right? Right? You know, people grow up playing other instruments trying to be cool, but fiddle
Maybe in
is
the
different,
Irish kind of
right?
custom it is.
But you grew up in an Irish custom. Is that what got you into the fiddle?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I actually grew up playing classical violin.
Oh, okay.
So I
Hold on. So let's stop there because John's really stupid. What's the difference between fiddle and violin?
So there's no difference between the actual physical instrument.
Okay.
Sometimes the bridge that holds up the strings, you might have it slanted a different way to make it easier to play, but the physical instrument itself, the's no difference.
Trivia.
Yeah.
Right.
So people always say, what's the difference between a violin and a fiddle? And it's really not the instrument, it's the player. So.
Thank God you didn't say the difference is a stupid question.
No. You don't know that?
Silly Jagoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Silly goose.
Yeah. So I grew up playing classical violin, and I did a lot of the youth symphonies around town.
Okay.
I played at North Allegheny. I was in like the orchestra program there. We had a thing called Strolling Strings in high school, where all the people who were in orchestra, they would hire us out. I don't know who would hire high school people to play at their wedding, but they did. So we would march around, like all 200 of us, like walking around different banquet halls and everything. So it was kind of like funny foreshadowing to like walking around on stage with an actual instrument. But I quit playing when I was about 16. I went to college. I majored in accounting, and I kind of like, I didn't play music besides very, very infrequently at church for maybe six or 7 years, and then I moved out to Chicago, and I met all these amazing Irish musicians, and then I kind of just got like really, really into it.
Wow.
So,
That's
what
cool.
a story.
Yeah, that's cool. So how many tour dates do you do with Gaelic Storm at this point? Are you in a different city every 2 days?
Pretty much, yeah.
Really?
We tour about 140 dates a year. That's actual shows, so
Wow.
that doesn't
How
even
big's
include
the
touring.
airplane? The
Oh,
private
yeah, our
airplane?
private jet, yeah. Our helicopter. No, we have a van, and it's parked out in the very back.
Down by the river.
Yeah, down by the river. Down by the river.
Done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Do
right.
they talk like that though, or no? Just you? Do you add a little Pittsburgh to the band, or?
I think my Pittsburgh
You speak
accent
well,
is evaporated at this point.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'll throw it in every now and again. Why not?
Yeah.
But the van is actually, we're getting a new van. It's really exciting. The air conditioning broke all summer. The ledge that you can stand on when you climb down is completely, it's falling off. So the van has 316,000 miles on it. So, yeah, we're really I'm particularly looking, I was like, this is where you guys travel in? So, yeah, we're getting a new van, which is exciting.
So what do your parents say or your family say? Well, I'm going to tour this group, and this is what the van looks like, and they go, oh, wow, accounting, huh?
I didn't show them the van. Yeah, exactly. Well,
It's the same thing I told my parents when my accounting degree is now podcasting, so I know I'm with
and they're
you.
proud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have all the Gaelic Storm CDs from back in the day.
Okay, so they know it.
Yeah, they were.
They knew what you were
Yeah,
getting
they were
into.
excited. I don't think they were so excited when they heard 75% of the set list was about getting drunk and whiskey, but that's okay.
So now, for people who don't know, is it all instrumental or is there some singing, both?
It's mostly singing. Okay. I'd say in a set of 18 or 20 songs, we do maybe 3 completely instrumental pieces.
High energy stuff.
High
too.
energy, extremely high energy.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff you don't put on your iPod when you're on the treadmill or when you're trying to jump rope because you'll have a heart attack.
You know what? I used to listen to some of their music that I'm playing now when I was on the treadmill. I'm
that tempo will kill you.
Yeah.
You're still fangirling.
Yeah, I'm still
It's
fangirling.
kind of like on Ellen DeGeneres when she makes her phone calls and she's like, it's Ellen. And
Yeah.
dead silence.
Yeah, exactly.
So where does everybody find you're obviously again, people listening to the podcast, you have been here to the Pittsburgh Irish Festival already. Where does everybody find where you're touring and where Gaelic Storm is touring?
You can find it on GaelicStorm.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were in Greensburg earlier this year, and I think every year we're in the Pittsburgh area at least at some point. So
Favorite city other than Wexford that you've been touring in so far?
I liked, we were up in Maine. I liked going up to Maine. It was really pretty out there.
I'm sure.
Right by the water.
Okay.
So that was kind of neat. We were just in the North and South Dakota. So
wow.
I was excited
Good to be there
check
in the
some more
summer.
states off the list. So.
Good to be there in the
summer.
summer.
Yeah, the best weather we had all summer was in Fargo, North Dakota. It was perfect 80 degrees, sunny, no humidity. I was like, oh.
So we have a question we do for all of our guests every week, and Rachel has the question.
It's not the bathroom question.
Oh,
It
no.
is this time. It is, what Irish proverb best describes your life? Okay? So I don't have Jeopardy music in the back, but just imagine that. So 1, may the road rise up to meet you. 2, it's often that a person's mouth broke his nose. Or 3, the older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune.
Oh, definitely number 3.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I
seeded
might
there.
kind of be wrong if
Yeah.
you didn't answer that one.
Well, Katie Grennan, Gaelic Storm, thank you very much. Congratulations on getting with you're now a part of your fangirl band, right? Yeah, you're no longer, now people are fangirls and fanboys of you.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still getting used to it. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you very much for taking
Thank you
time
so
to be
much
on the
for having
podcast.
me.
We appreciate it. And you're going to hear Katie play with this Screaming Orphans as we go through to the break here.
Yep.
So again, you're listening to Gaelic Storm and Katie Grennan play as we're at the Pittsburgh Irish Festival. And our next guest has been a co-host when we were at Hobby Prodigy. But the most notable thing about our next guest is that she's probably been bumped more times than any other guest on our podcast this morning.
Really
How
has.
Disrespectful can we possibly be?
I don't know, but I'm pretty excited that she's here on my inaugural day. So that's pretty important.
Well, I'm happy to be here for your inaugural day.
Yeah.
So Kristen Dorschner is an editor at the Beaver County Times, and we came across each other. I forget how many different times on social media. I don't even what we've done. We have a past.
We have a past on Twitter.
Right. So one day we were hanging out, having beers and having drinks, and one thing led to another, and you started telling me about your days as a crime reporter in Beaver County. And it was hysterical. You had so many good stories. But first, before we prime, how did you prime? You and Rachel were talking before we turned the microphones on about ice cream. We had a question, ice cream or alcohol?
Oh, yeah, because, well, I was
at the end of a night.
Yeah, at the
You're
end of a night, I was decompressing, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted as my comfort that night. Did I want alcohol? Did I want ice cream? So I decided, well, why choose? So I grabbed the vanilla ice cream and a bottle of Baileys and dumped the Baileys over the ice cream and just...
And now you have a booth at the Irish Festival.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
There you go.
No need to choose. Just be creative and combine your own.
I think that was clever.
Life as a crime reporter. Now, so I've been in EMS, so I know some public safety stuff, so I've seen a little bit of the backside of the stuff. But tell me, first of all, does someone suddenly become a crime reporter because somebody called off? Or is crime reporting you're like, I'm growing up, I'm going to be a crime reporter. Were you going around busting on your siblings, stealing nickels from your parents or something when you were younger?
Well, I think when I look back when I was younger, it was definitely in the cards. As a kid, I had a typewriter, and I used to type out investigations. I would pretend that somebody, committed a crime and I was investigating. I actually found in my mom's closet a story that I had narrated to her that she wrote out. And it was talking about robbers breaking into somebody's home. And I asked her, I said, how old was I? Because I don't even remember that. Right. She said, oh, you were like 2. I don't even know what I knew about that back then, but I did. So I think it was kind of in the cards.
But you're not saying that you make stories up.
Oh, no, not now. No.
Right. Pretend crime busting by Kristen.
No, that's very frowned upon. But, yeah, and then, when I became a reporter, initially the first paper I worked for, the Sharon Herald in Mercer County.
I worked for them.
Oh, okay, great. So I was up there around the late 90s, and I was kind of general assignment, which encompassed crime stuff in courts as well, and I just really liked it. So I was fortunate that when I came down to the Times, they had an opening in that area that I was able to jump into and really do that full time once I got to the Times.
So is Beaver County the area where there is a high crime for you to kind of thrive?
This section not sponsored by the Beaver County Tourism Office.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say. I certainly don't want to give the impression that it's a dangerous place, because it's not.
Because in Allegheny County, to us, Allegheny County has so much stuff going on.
Yeah,
I feel like Beaver is really just vanilla.
We have enough to keep us busy.
Keep you busy,
but not so much that it's
overwhelming.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So let's get into being a crime reporter. Now, I remember the classic story. You said something about being out on a crime story in your pajamas in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that was actually, it wasn't even that late. I just am one of those people that as soon as I get home from work, no matter what time it is, I put my pajamas on.
It's PJs, vanilla ice cream, and Bailey's.
It could be 4 p.m. and if I'm home, the jammies are coming on. But this was back when I was working at the Herald. It was probably about 8 o'clock at night, and I got a call from my editor that it was actually a pretty horrific crime. But I was relatively new to that back then, so I was just, oh my gosh, I have to go. And I threw on my tennis shoes and ran without even thinking. And I end up at this crime scene for a lot of the night, and it was because it was a fairly horrific circumstance. TV media started showing up and everything. And at around 11:15, my cell phone, the big old green Nokia that we had back in the day, started ringing. And it was my mom, and she said, I'm watching the 11 o'clock news. Are you at a crime scene in your pajamas?
Oh, my gosh.
I said, yeah, I am. So I ended up on the 11 o'clock news in the background at this crime scene in my flannel pants and my hoodie, all decked out for bed.
So that's the craziest thing you wore. What's the craziest crime you've investigated?
Oh, boy. I don't know. That's a hard one.
I was a journalist.
Yeah. She'll ABCing the crap out of you.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. I'm like Ralph Macchio from the
Oh my
Karate
gosh.
Kid.
I might have to come back to that one.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think.
You can't pass.
My mind goes blank on the spot. I've
How
certainly.
many years have you been doing it?
Well, I've been a reporter officially since 1999, and a couple of years before that as an intern. So I've been at it for a while, and I've chased the police chases and I've done that. I've chased chases.
So you're following police cars through Beaver County,
and other counties sometimes. But the good news is
they're
all ahead of you. So you're all right.
How do you fall
are you a
into
scanner buff?
crime though? Most people I know, I went to school for journalism as well, and it was, do you want to do style? Do you want to do news? Do you want to do sports? Yeah. How do you kind of fall into that?
It sounds awful. I just naturally I find it fascinating. There's a lot of really sad, awful stuff.
Sure.
But there's also a lot of really interesting things that happen and great stories. And I love covering trials. I really find them fascinating. I find the legal process fascinating. And I'm always learning so much about the law and about people. I'm sometimes amazed in a good way at how people behave and react in certain circumstances. I've seen people with a tremendous amount of grace in the most awful of circumstances. And sometimes I'm amazed in a bad way where it's just, you can't believe somebody would do something like that or act like that. So you really get to see sort of all kinds of humanity and all kinds of the spectrum of people from the very best to the very worst.
Is your phone ringtone? Dun, dun, dun. I think it should be.
It maybe should be. No, right now it's the theme song from Outlander.
Oh. What was the hardest case that you kind of go home and you're thinking about and you're kind of like obsessing or... does that happen? I mean, I know you're a woman, so we don't obsess a lot, but
it does happen.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It does. There's actually a case that's been going on in our county for the 3-year anniversary will be coming up. It's a case, a woman's embalmed head was found in the woods.
I was just going to say, I was hoping that's what you were going to talk about, because I read that.
It is such a sad and odd case. I think about it all the time.
I'm sure.
It's just, and I'm actually considering writing a book about it. I've been starting kind of the process there because it's just this strange and fascinating case, and I really feel like it's sad, and I do think about it because we still, after almost 3 years, don't know who this woman is. They don't even know who she is.
And I think that's what's crazy about so much modern technology, so many things we can figure out at this point, and yet this poor situation just cannot get solved.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even with technology, you still have a place to start.
Sure.
People say, well, what about DNA? Okay, what are you going to compare it to?
Right.
You have to have some kind of a known to compare it to. Same with dental records, same with a lot of things. You have to have a starting place. And so not knowing who the victim is doesn't really give you a starting place. And I really feel like she deserves, our local authorities have done the best by her that they can. They gave her a proper funeral and have done the best for her that they can. But she deserves more, and they're trying to do that for her. No one has given up on it. So I'm really, it's a fascinating case, and it's a sad case. And, then anything, unfortunately, involving children sticks with me. And now as a mom, especially, that becomes hard. But fortunately, through all of that, we have a lot of levity in our job, too. Can I tell you about the guy with the cookie?
Do it.
So, because on Facebook, I'm often posting, overheard at the courthouse and stuff, funny things that I come upon. One morning, I was walking into the courthouse at, about 8:45, and this man was ahead of me with this chocolate chip cookie that was the size of a dinner plate. I mean, it was just the biggest chocolate chip cookie I've ever seen. And as he's going through security, he leans over to the deputies at the door. He's like, "You want a bite?" And I'm behind him wondering what the heck's going on. And then he turns to me. He's like, do you want a bite? And I was like, oh, no thanks. And then I realized this guy is high as a kite at 8:45 in the morning with this chocolate chip cookie at the courthouse, showing up for drug charges. And he's running around the courthouse offering everyone in the courthouse a bite of this ginormous cookie that he's got. And then finding the DA on his case said to her, "Am I in trouble here?" And so it's things like that you see that you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
I actually had a woman one time, too, who thought I was a victim in a case. She was accused of assaulting a girl who was pregnant. And I was in court to cover it, and I happened to be pregnant at the time. And this woman, who was clearly not sorry for why she was there, thought I was the victim in her case and started shouting at me across the courtroom about how I deserved it. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around, and she's coming towards me, and I'm wondering, is someone going to stop her? And finally, I just shouted out across the courtroom. I was like, "Ma'am, I am not your victim." Just oh my gosh, this woman is going to attack me because she thinks that I'm the victim because I happen to be pregnant.
Wow. So, pregnancy profiling's the worst.
Yes, it's never dull,
It happens so often.
And you don't ask anyone if they're pregnant ever.
Well,
no.
Yeah, as a guy,
even at 9 months.
When women are pregnant, you don't say the word moose, fat, anything around them at all, even if it's out of context, completely out of context. Is there any cool devices or new science or technology that you see coming out to help solve crimes? I know the DNA thing's really kind of taken off, really. I mean, that's almost, passe at this point.
Well, but it has really gotten so much more detailed. I mean, the one cold case I referenced earlier, they went back and retested things that they had tested a decade before, but because it's gotten so sensitive, they were able to get hits that 10 years ago they weren't.
Yeah.
But technology certainly is, people, I think, tend to think, especially maybe younger people, that stuff on their phone, if they delete it, is gone. It's never gone.
Never gone.
It's never gone. Not even Snapchat. Kids, don't think your Snapchats are gone. They are out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And, so we're seeing a lot of technology now coming into play and solving these things. And, the authorities use Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and all of that to keep progress on. I mean, I creep on people all the time. I am the master Facebook creeper. And somebody said to me Somebody said to me one time, they said, boy, you are a creeper, aren't you? I said, hey, if you're going to put it out there, I'll stop the crap out of it.
Your kids don't have a chance when they grow up.
Oh, no, because my husband's a police officer. So between my husband and me, no way. They better not even try.
Who were the people on Scream? Dewey and...
Oh,
that's who you are. Courtney Cox and whoever she was married to.
Oh, boy, I hope I'm slightly less obnoxious than her.
Oh, I liked her. I was going to say, hopefully your husband's hotter than Dewey, but, you know.
Oh, my husband's pretty hot.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll just step out of the conversation at this point. So we have a question for you, and we're asking every guest today.
Irish proverbs. Are you Irish? Did we ask you that?
I am like a tiny sliver Irish on my grandmother's side.
Okay, we'll take it. So which Irish proverb best describes your life? Are you ready? 1, may the road rise up to meet you. 2, it's often that a person's mouth broke his nose. Or 3, the older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune.
Oh, definitely 2.
Really?
I'm a talker, and sometimes when you can't shut up, you say stupid stuff, and then you're just like...
The next thing, your nose is broken. I hate when that
I don't know that I've ever physically had my nose broken, but, certainly I've said things that I thought, not so smart.
Very cool. Where does everybody find you online?
Twitter, kind of I'm at Chris Dorschner. You can guess how to spell that.
Yeah, it'll be in the link will be in the show notes for sure.
Perfect. And I'm on Instagram too. Yeah. And at the Beaver County Times, we're at timesonline.com. And I still do get to jump in and report now and again, so I'm not completely out of the game.
Well, thank you for finally making it to a podcast. I'm sorry you just kept getting bumped and bumped and bumped, but it was Rachel's issue. It was
I wanted to be the only chick.
Yeah. Coming up, we have the Screaming Orphans, who are they're in from Ireland just to be on our podcast.
Hey, it's Justin LeBar from Wrestling Reality, and you're listening to YaJagoff podcast.
So we're back at the Pittsburgh Irish Festival once again. So lucky with our all these Irish people and everybody wearing green around us. And we're back this time now with a couple of ladies from the Screaming Orphans. Welcome. We have Joan and Grania.
Okay. Hello.
Wait, go just talk.
Do it. I will talk.
They have Irish brogue, so just go ahead and talk.
Right, how's it going on as well? And that's all I'm saying.
Right now, she's pretending to be from Northern Ireland.
Oh, I see.
We talk really, really fast, and go like that's 100 miles an hour. They're going like that's.
Northern Ireland, Donegal.
Donegal's a wee bit slower.
Joe, that sounds desperate. People from Donegal don't speak like that.
And then you have the dubs, they are like this, everything's kind of like that, and this and that and the other,
Oh, you say that?
Yeah, well, that's Dublin.
That's Pittsburgh. Okay, Pittsburgh, Dublin. I love it.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the Screaming Orphans. You're 4 sisters that
we
tour all over the world?
Yes. Well, we're from Donegal, which is the northwest of Ireland, and we've been playing since we were kids. So, coming to America, we grew up playing traditional Irish music, but we also write our own pop music. So we blend the two styles together, and that's why we call the Screaming Orphans, because we do something different. We're not strict traditional Celtic. We've sort of something...
But you're Catholic, Irish Catholic.
We're Irish Catholic.
Yes,
we're always taught by the nuns.
Yes, the
Louis nuns.
Same.
Yes.
Same.
That's Sister Bernice.
So who's the bossiest sister?
Angela.
That was unanimous.
She talk, yes.
She is bossy, is right.
She's quiet, so therefore you're very nervous of her.
Dangerously bossy.
The quiet, bossy ones are the worst, no doubt.
So the music you make is a mix between pop and Celtic and fan base. You just started in Ireland
The town that we live in is a tourist town, so there's always been tourists coming to it. So as children, our summer job was playing and entertaining the tourists. So we used to play Irish music and stuff like that. But then we always loved pop music and rock music, and we didn't necessarily want to cut off that side of us by just being one thing.
And then we became a surf band.
And then we became, because we fancied all the American surfers.
Yes, Australians.
Irish surf band.
They had lovely teeth and really lovely brown skin.
Yes.
I'm not saying anything but the Irish,
That's
but
what
our
John
teeth
looks for too.
Oh,
lovely
yes. Lovely brown skin, and they were just very attractive. So we decided we'd play surf music.
Yes,
so what is surf music? Like who is the Beach Boys?
Well, we used to do a bit of that.
Yeah.
We used to wipe out. And get down.
Our town is really well known for surfing.
Oh, what?
It's really our town is amazing.
We've one of the most beautiful, like, National Geographic top waves in the world.
Well, that's now.
Well, it's just in Leitrim.
Yeah.
It's like Sligo,
It's
Leitrim.
Sligo.
So it's sort of like, but you know, it's all the one coast.
Like
It's just like it's like our neighbouring county. So
I feel like we're having two different interviews.
I feel like I've so many questions right now because oh my god. So
tag in.
I know you want to ask about how sisters even travel, get along. I couldn't. I probably couldn't spend a week with my sister. So because we just wouldn't get along. But first of all, let's
edit that.
The big thing, our blog is about Jagoff's people doing stupid things, and I want to know. You mentioned about you played for tourists. What is it like to have tourists come over to your country, and what are Americans like? Are they
Well, they
jerks?
went to bed. They went to bed. The Americans were, I'm sorry to say this, but they were chronic.
Yeah.
They go to bed at 8
No
o'clock.
doubt.
And they were always looking for.
Thank God, I thought you said they wet the bed. I'm like, no.
Oh, they went to bed. Oh, yeah.
They were.
That sounds like it, doesn't it?
They were kind of fussy, but they're very popular because you see they tip very well.
Tip's
so
great.
Irish, so they're always looking for tips. So it's like the Americans. Oh, they're great. They spend a lot of money.
And
so
Joan used to do some Irish dancing.
Yes.
And then she'd get
It was very unfair.
$1, a pound.
I would get like
It was
the
a
tips
punt
from
at
the
the time, a
Americans,
punt.
and I was out there dancing, and then my sisters would say, "Oi, Mrs. Hand over the money."
No,
because
we
it's
didn't.
25,
No,
25,
25%.
Because and it's like I was out there doing all the hard work.
You were
and
cute.
Like,
what are you talking about? You got praise because you were cute.
My
Should
God.
we ring?
So my money was taken off me.
No, it was not. Don't lie. 25% per person because she couldn't dance if there was no music. Isn't that right, Burgess Mantra?
Very true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Are you
We're
the
a
older
democracy.
sister? You're putting it all in
Yes.
perspective. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
She was spoilt anyway.
Yeah.
The Americans were great. They were lovely, and we used to play for.
Yeah, they were, but they went to bed
a
too
lot
early.
of bus. Well, you see, there was a lot of bus tours that would come, like the older
and the Scottish
Americans.
as well.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so
I see.
and a lot of Scottish as well, and Germans, and so there's all Europeans. So we
We
grew up.
used to
What are
play
the questions
the
they
Chili
ask you? I mean, are they
Peppers.
looking for
Not
like
Peppers.
pubs?
Peppers.
Are they looking for
They're always
entertainment?
they're looking for traditional Irish music.
Yeah.
A lot of the Americans, and unfortunately, it's hard enough nowadays to get like. Well, where we come from, it's kind of like it's more difficult to get good music in the pubs because the Irish are like they have the crack and all that, and people will turn up and play in a session. But I shouldn't say this, but there's American country music that's very popular in Ireland, and it's not even American artists.
It's not really good
It's basically
American
Irish.
music.
It's Irish artists that sing like Americans, and they do all the songs that the
Yes,
American
and
country bands do. And they were the
Oh,
Stetsons.
she meant so much.
And our
She said it's
time,
awful.
I'm whispering it. I don't know. I'm not a big
But
fan
we
of
can't.
it.
We can't say this.
But we
because
can't. We'd be lynched.
we wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
go back
we
home. But
So, how often are you in the United States? And do you come over for 6 or 8 weeks at a time and then go home? What do you do?
We come over for quite a few months. We would spend like 5 or 6 months of the year over here touring. And because it's a brilliant country for live music and for touring, and we're especially lucky that the Irish festivals and the Irish community over here, the Irish American community, are very, very warm and open to us, and have really opened up like this whole touring circuit. And like Katie was on earlier, but ourselves and Gaelic Storm and a couple of the bands, like it's like we've played with, for years, and it's sort of like a family on the road over here.
Sure.
And we're all very, very close, and we look out for each other. So it's a whole community. And even the festival directors and certain festivals, especially here in Pittsburgh, it was one of the first festivals that like booked us.
Boom, Pittsburgh.
Marin.
Yeah.
Marin is brilliant, and the whole family here. It's such a great festival.
And I think Pittsburgh prides itself. I mean, I know we're one of the biggest, correct me if I'm wrong, Irish presence, as far as people, heritage. But I know the festivals as well as the parade are one of the biggest in the country. So I know Pittsburgh. What other cities are prevalent? Or are we one of the bigger?
Do you know what? It's amazing because you go out like in the middle of nowhere. Like people would think, oh, there's a lot of Irish like in New York and Boston and Chicago even. But like we go out to Waterloo, Iowa, and there's like 40,000 people and stuff. And then also there's this festival outside Kansas City in Weston, Missouri, and it is phenomenal. It's like
but not like Pittsburgh.
Not like Pittsburgh. No, that's number one.
We have to say the Penmar Irish Festival.
Penmar Irish Festival,
yes.
Okay.
It's just York, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Well,
it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So there's plenty, like, you know, and even we go down to Florida and stuff like that, and we're going out to Spanish Peaks, which is like just we fly to Denver.
It's very
Colorado.
Irish and Spanish.
Yeah. And then,
really Irish.
but you know, there's just a love of the Irish culture here. I think music opens all doors, and it's just like
Absolutely,
it's a great entertainment thing, and I think Irish music just seems to be worldwide. It just people love it.
But how do you describe Irish music? Like, what is it? A collaboration of? I know you were saying you like Irish and pop. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think Irish music is just it's changing now because there's a lot of like, you know, the immigration from Ireland wouldn't be as mad. There's not the mass immigration that there was like years ago. So people now that are in like America would be maybe married to Italians or a different culture, but the music so you have to sort of change the traditional and sort of make it acceptable for someone's like brother-in-law that's maybe Italian or whatever, so that they can bring them in. So, you know, you do the traditional, you keep strict to the roots, and you know you always have the songs, but you add in like as we do.
Pop elements, rock elements,
so
and
people can relate to it. And bluegrass, banjos, and sort of
jazz.
Because really, the bluegrass and the country music here in America came from Celtic music. It came across with Scotland and Ireland. And so there's and so you sort of, you know, you have to change things, but not change them too much, but sort of make them a little bit more acceptable and more
just kind of go with the time.
Yeah, and for the kids to be interested in something, you know, play the traditional, but also bring in a pop tune, or you know, twist it around, or maybe change the songs and make them a little bit more relevant.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
I know. That's
so let's get into the hard questions. Ready?
Yes.
So Rachel started them before. Like, so who keeps track of everybody? Like, do you guys trade and argue about clothes? Like, who took my this, who took my that?
No. It's the funny thing about clothes. No, my sisters would have plastic bags.
Yes.
Because they never go shopping. Ever.
Because Grania is the shopper for the band. But she's brilliant. Like,
under
she will
$10.
get everything. Yes.
Everything is extremely cheap.
And she's brilliant with her hands.
Irish shopping on a dime.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. You see, I love to sew. So we just buy things that are really cheap, and then I cut them up.
She makes her hats. She makes her trousers.
Well, I
do you have a clothing
I didn't make the
line?
hats.
Did you start a clothing line?
People have said,
listen, I'm in marketing. We'll help you here.
I never, most of my hats, like, because they're generally two hats.
Yeah.
Because it's a hat on top of a hat.
Oh, okay.
Because I like the extra height, you see. I don't know why.
And she'll go to like TJ Maxx and she'll buy two like really funny looking leggings that look like, oh my God. And then she makes them into these like great trousers.
Wow, good
Well,
for
it's easy. You just switch one up. Put one in the bottom of your leg and then cut it down and then put a flare in the way you got it.
I'm watching your other sisters' reactions.
I know.
They're like, oh,
That's
gosh,
because
talking again.
I know. Myself and my
that.
other two sisters have to carry all the clothes that Grania wears.
But that's
and the belts and the hats. So we end up turning up with a t-shirt.
Joan tends to look after, because I know, Angela, you're there, but you don't speak anyway, so you're not going to say anything. Anyway, Angela gets a bit lost everywhere.
Wait, she doesn't speak, like, when you say she doesn't speak, is that like the thing for the band, or she does not talk?
Well, she talks when she's like
when
nobody's
talks,
listening.
I share the room with her, so she talks a lot. You know. but when she talks when she's comfortable, but she's not
a people person.
And that's the thing. That's the great thing about our band. It's like we're not picked because of personalities or anything. We are family, and we're all very different.
Yeah.
And that's why we like to be positive role models for little girls, because it's like you can be quiet and you can be, you know, not into fashion, and you can be whatever you want to be, and you can get up on stage and be a musician and be an artist and not have to fit into a certain mold. So we always try
be
to,
what you want.
You know, to say that to little young girls, because I think it's important in today's world for little girls to have like positive role. Not that we're positive, but we're positive in one sense.
You are positive,
in that you know, like that you don't have to look a certain way, or you don't have to be as, you know, I don't know, like fit into a mold to be able to get up and have a career in music, and not just you know, play different instruments and do what you want to do, you know, and be as good as the boys, you know.
I'm not letting my daughter listen to this interview. I want to do what I want to do. So, yeah.
So, real quick question before we go in. I promise I'll be fast. And this is going to be the hokey question. U2. Do you like U2? Because wasn't that the biggest?
I have to say, I do like U2.
Okay.
People
John
say,
doesn't.
Oh,
I do.
I know. I love U2.
I
love them.
I'm not a fan.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think I was in the beginning, but now they just become.
well, I suppose,
Yes.
But I still think they're great. great band.
No doubt they're talented.
You know,
I think the music was,
I just don't
and
like
the lyrics.
There's pompousness that they represent at this
I
point, in my
suppose
opinion. I like more like.
What's Ireland's take on them, though? I mean,
well, the Irish are hilarious.
The Irish love you and then they hate you.
Yeah, they love you and then they hate you. They love you when you're like, the underdog and sort of like, and then when you get to, who does he think he is?
And then they love you again. It's kind of like, I suppose, every nationality.
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
We like to pull people up and down.
Before we let you go, we have to we heard you've been practicing your Pittsburghese.
They have cheat sheets.
This is unbelievable. So in Pittsburgh, a house is not a house. It's a house. So what have you guys learned while you were here in Pittsburgh?
Yin's coming down the Irish fest in that.
That's really bad.
In that.
Yeah.
You have to sound like a valley. In that.
And then if not, Yin's are Jagoffs.
Right.
I love it. Love it.
Got it.
How do you say house in
house.
House. So we say house.
Yeah. We don't.
We're going
Some
downtown.
Pittsburgh people say it.
Yeah, I can see Joan has it downtown. Downtown. Very good. Well, we enjoyed having you on the podcast, and grateful that you'd make some time for us here. And where does everybody find? Oh, we have the question of the day.
Real quick question. So you know more about Irish proverbs than anybody. So which one would apply to your life? Okay. So it's either may the road rise up to meet you. It's often that a person's mouth broke his nose, or the older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune.
Well, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All of them.
I like the third one.
Yeah.
Because I think speaking for ourselves, we actually do have parents, and I think the older they get and the more older we get, we've gotten so close to them because it's just the four of us.
And you have an
appreciation.
appreciation.
And I appreciate
really
their
do.
wisdom, know, and I think older people just a great sense of
example.
As you get as a musician as well, I suppose sometimes because you're not when you're super famous, like as you get older, there's
like
a lot
John,
of pressure on you to do.
I don't like her. You have an Irish proverb for her, like shove it.
Go ahead, but when you get older and more famous, yeah.
Well, the way it's kind of sometimes. I suppose you've pressure to be brilliant, but like for us, I think we're getting better and better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life lessons.
Because we've no pressure really on us.
Yeah.
Because we're just doing it. We're going to stick with it to the day we die.
That's amazing.
And do you know what? I think it's great. Actually, because your podcast, it's all female people on the program.
Love it.
Yeah.
Tell them that today.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm just going to fade out into the sunset here. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being. Everybody finds you on the internet at what?
Well, you can screamin'orphans.com or Facebook, and
you can get our new album. Our new album is available on iTunes.
Oh, very good.
CD Baby.
Called Tap Room.
Very good. Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. That is the end of Rachel's first full-time co-hosting.
Thank you.
You did a brilliant job.
And I'm Irish. So that's good. Yeah.
You did a fantastic job.
Thank you. You guys helped us a lot. Aww.
You
and my
pumpkins.
brother was here for my
Pumpkins,
debut. I mean, it doesn't get any better.
So before we go, we have to thank everybody. We have to thank Marin Patron for having us here at the Pittsburgh Irish Festival. And thanks to Kristen Dorschner for coming on and being our guest. Yeah.
And Katie Grennan.
Yep. From Wexford, out touring around in a brand new van shortly, as she said.
Yeah.
And
go
thanks
for a Traverse. Don't go for the van. The Traverse is better.
Traverse is not a minivan, according to Rachel, but she's lying. So, and a big shout out to the Pittsburgh Podcast Network, Frank Merge, Wayne Weil. Again, our thoughts go out to Wayne and Justin, Rachel's brother. He's like, "Why are you in on this podcast?"
Rachel's brother. I love it.
He's like, I don't even know why I'm twisted into this. My arm twisted into this. So thank you to him for coming on to be our sound guy. Our Pittsburgh Podcast Network intern, Hannah. Hannah, not Amanda. All the good Instagram stuff is up there. So, and again, thanks to Total Sports Enterprises for being our sponsor.
Total Sports Enterprises is having signings galore this fall, starting next Saturday with the Steeler rookie signing that includes the one and only James Conner, Mike Hilton, Juju Smith-Schuster, Brian Allen, and second-year favorite Sean Davis.
Yes, and don't forget, our blog, YaJagoff, has your chance to win 2 tickets to the September 16th rookie signing just by giving your suggestions. Starting on Tuesday, watch for your chance to ask the right rookie questions. And if yours is chosen, you could win 2 VIP passes. Ooh.
Woo, VIP.
to the signing at the mall at Robinson starting around 1 p.m. Be sure to check out tseshop.com and listen to the YaJagoff podcast. Thanks, everybody, for coming to the Irish Festival. We appreciate it. And now you're going to hear more of Katie playing with the Screaming Orphans.
Thanks for listening. This is the Pittsburgh Podcast Network.